Okay, fine, I'll just say it. I might have gone a little too far. But honestly, what was I supposed to do? Just sit there and let him get away with it, let him act like I'm nothing. Like 5 years of my life are just a footnote in his oh so important schedule. Declan forgot our 5 year anniversary. Not a wedding anniversary, no, something way more important, the anniversary of our first date. The day it all started. 5 years, people get plaques for that, companies give you a cheap watch, it's a milestone. It's the foundation of everything we are, and he treated it like it was just another Thursday. Not a card, not a flower, not even a hey, remember that awkward dinner where you spilled wine on me? Nothing, a complete and total void. A black hole where a memory was supposed to be. It's not just about forgetting a date, it's about erasing our history. So, yes, I logged into his laptop. He leaves it open on the kitchen counter, practically begging for it, and I sent a tiny, anonymous email to his entire department, including his precious, high-powered boss, Amelia, who he never shuts up about. Amelia thinks my Q3 projections are brilliant. Amelia has this incredible way of commanding a room. It's nauseating. I wanted her to see he wasn't so perfect. The email wasn't even that bad, really. It just suggested that a concerned colleague was worried about his recent signs of severe professional burnout and potential emotional regulation issues. It was corporate speak. Vague, I just wanted him to feel what I felt for a single day. To be seen as fragile, to be misunderstood, to have people whispering about him, he made me feel invisible. Why shouldn't he get a taste of that? It's only fair, he started it. He needed a wake-up call, and clearly, a post-it note on the fridge wasn't going to cut it. The sheer audacity of it still makes my blood boil. This wasn't some minor oversight, a forgotten dry cleaning ticket. This was a calculated erasure of our history. I had been laying the groundwork for weeks, dropping hints so obvious a toddler could have picked them up. Hey, I saw that little Italian place we went to on our first date has a special on, I'd said just last week, leaning over his shoulder as he stared at his laptop. Remember how you told that terrible joke to the waiter? He just made a non-committal noise, his eyes never leaving the screen. I even circled the date on the kitchen calendar with a bright red marker, drawing a stupid little heart next to it. Big day coming up, I'd chirped, tapping it with my finger. He glanced up, smiled vaguely, and said, yeah, big presentation, wish me luck. The day itself was a masterclass in slow-burning agony. I woke up buzzing with a nervous energy, half expecting breakfast in bed or at least a knowing smile. I got nothing. He was already dressed, gulping down coffee while his thumbs flew across his phone screen. Big day, he muttered, pecking me on the cheek as he rushed out. Talk later. The irony was so thick I could have choked on it. I spent the entire day in a self-imposed prison of hope and resentment. I bought his favorite cut of steak, the expensive kind. I picked up a bottle of the Malbec we'd discovered on that trip to the mountains. I even put on the blue dress he once said made my eyes look amazing. Every notification on my phone sent a jolt through my chest. I'd snatch it up, heart pounding, only to see a 20% off coupon from a store I never shop at. Around 3 p.m., my phone did buzz with a message from him. My heart leaped. This was it, the apology, the dinner reservation. I opened it. It was a screenshot of a spreadsheet. A goddamn spreadsheet. The caption read, crushing these numbers. I wanted to throw my phone against the wall. Instead, I typed and deleted a dozen furious replies before simply sending back a single, cold wow. When he finally walked through the door that night, well past 8 p.m., he looked exhausted but triumphant. He dropped his briefcase, loosened his tie, and launched into a monologue about some deal he'd closed. He was rambling about profit margins and client acquisition while the scent of my carefully prepared, now cold dinner filled the air. The candles I'd lit had burned down by half, their little flames flickering weakly. Did you forget something? I asked, my voice dangerously calm. He blinked, looking around the room as if searching for a misplaced wallet. Did I leave the oven on? That was it, the snap. Today's date, Declan, the 22nd of May. Does it mean absolutely anything to you? The look on his face was a slow-motion car crash. First, blank confusion, then a flicker of dawning horror. And finally, the pathetic, dismissive excuse that sealed his fate. Oh God, Frankie, I am so sorry. It's the 5th, isn't it? Work has just been an absolute meat grinder. A meat grinder. He fed our anniversary into a meat grinder. Later that night, long after his apologetic snoring filled the apartment, I sat in the glow of his laptop screen. The house was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. A bottle of wine was half empty on the counter next to me. Finding his company's address book was laughably easy. I crafted the email with the precision of a surgeon, fueled by wine and righteous fury. I chose my words carefully, like little poison darts. Untenable pressure, noticeable decline in demeanor, and the master stroke, potential emotional regulation issues. I made sure to send it from a temporary, untraceable email address I created on the spot. I scrolled through the recipient list, my finger hovering over one name in particular, Amelia. I put her in the main to field and everyone else in BCC. Let her be the first to see. Pressing send wasn't just a click, it was an explosion, a silent digital detonation, and in that moment it felt like justice. The next morning, I woke up with a faint, throbbing headache and a stomach churning with a weird mix of guilt and giddy anticipation. The anger had cooled into a low, simmering ember. For a brief, sober moment, I thought, what have I done? But then I remembered the spreadsheet picture, the meat grinder comment, and the feeling of being utterly invisible. The guilt evaporated. He deserved this. He needed to be shaken out of his self-absorbed work bubble. My plan, as it formed in my head, was actually quite generous. He'd have a terrible, stressful day at work. He'd be confused, maybe a little paranoid. Then he'd come home, defeated and vulnerable, and I would be there. I'd be the soft place to land. I'd listen to his work troubles, feign surprise, and then when he was at his lowest, I'd forgive him for the anniversary. It was perfect. It would reestablish my importance. He'd see that his life was chaos without me to manage it. He seemed completely oblivious when he left for work. He was still in apology mode from the night before, promising to make it up to me this weekend. I gave him a cool but forgiving smile. We'll see, I said, the words tasting like a secret victory on my tongue. The day crawled by. I tried to distract myself, but my mind kept replaying the email, imagining the exact moment it landed in their inboxes. I pictured Amelia, her perfectly arched eyebrow raising in concern. I pictured his colleagues whispering by the water cooler. Around noon, I called my best friend, Chloe. You will not believe what that idiot did, I started, launching into the whole saga. I painted a vivid picture of my heartbreak and his callousness. When I got to the part about the email, I framed it as a hilarious, spur-of-the-moment prank. I just sent a little anonymous tip to his office saying he's stressed, I said, laughing a little too loudly. He's probably getting sympathy cards as we speak. Chloe was quiet for a moment. Frankie, are you sure that was a good idea? That sounds intense. Oh, please, I scoffed. It's a corporate office. They'll probably just make him attend a mindfulness webinar. It's fine. He needed a little lesson. We hung up, but her hesitant tone left a small, unpleasant prickle under my skin. I ignored it. She didn't understand the depth of the insult. This wasn't a game. This was about respect. Declan came home late. I knew the exact moment his key turned in the lock because I'd been watching the clock for 2 hours, my stomach tied in a nauseating knot of anticipation and dread. The apology wine was breathing on the counter, the one I'd bought for him to give to me. But the man who walked through the door wasn't the frazzled, defeated husband I'd been expecting. He was a stranger inhabiting Declan's body. He shut the door behind him with a quiet click that echoed in the silent apartment. He wasn't yelling, he wasn't even angry. It was so much worse. His face was a pale, blank mask of exhaustion, the kind you see on people who have survived a natural disaster. All the energy, all the arrogant confidence he'd walked out with that morning had been hollowed out of him, leaving a brittle shell. He walked past me without a word, his shoulders slumped. He dropped his keys into the ceramic bowl on the hall table, and the clatter made me flinch. He went into the kitchen and poured a glass of water, his movements slow and deliberate like an old man. Tough day? I asked, my voice a high-pitched, unnatural imitation of casual concern. I was trying to play the part of the supportive, clueless girlfriend, but the lie was a lead weight in my throat. He took a long, slow sip of water, his back still to me. The silence stretched, thin and sharp. Then he turned around. He was holding his phone, the screen lit up. Even from across the room, I could see the familiar, damning text of my email. My handiwork, why? He asked. His voice wasn't a question, it was a verdict. It was quiet, raspy, and utterly devoid of any emotion I recognized. It was the voice of a man speaking across a chasm that had just opened up in the floor between us. My pre-rehearsed script, all my witty and forgiving lines, vanished. My throat went dry. What are you talking about? I stammered, the lie so flimsy and pathetic it was an insult. Don't, Frankie, he said, taking a step closer. The calm in his eyes was terrifying. It wasn't the calm of peace, it was the calm at the center of a hurricane. Just don't. Amelia called me into her office at 9:15 a.m. She had a printout. She looked at me with this pitying expression, asking if I was okay, if I needed to take a leave of absence because my well-being was the company's top priority. Then came HR. An informal wellness check, they called it. I spent my entire afternoon in meetings, not about the deal I closed yesterday, but about my own sanity. I had to sit there and defend my mental stability to a committee of people I respect, all because of this. He held up the phone, his hand steady. My professional reputation, Frankie. The thing I have spent 10 years building every single day, brick by brick. You took a sledgehammer to it for what? Suddenly, the anger I'd been nursing for 24 hours came roaring back. A desperate, pathetic defense mechanism. For what? For our anniversary? For the fact you looked me in the eye and had no idea? You think your professional reputation is more important than us? Then 5 years. He actually let out a short, bitter laugh. It was a horrifying alien sound in our apartment. This isn't about the anniversary anymore, he said, his voice dropping even lower, each word a carefully placed stone. I forgot it was a shitty, terrible thing to do, and I am sorry, but what you did, this is about character. This is about you looking at the foundation of my life, the very thing that allows us to have this apartment, to go on those trips, and deciding it was a fun thing to burn. You didn't just want to hurt me, you wanted to sabotage me, you wanted to destroy me. All my justifications, all the righteous anger that had felt so solid and real, crumbled into dust under the weight of his words. I tried to rally, to throw his own mistakes back in his face. So what, you hurt me, I was just trying to get your attention. I heard the shrill, childish whine in my own voice and hated it. My attention, he repeated, the words laced with disbelief. You could have screamed at me, you could have thrown a plate, you could have packed a bag and left. That's what normal, angry people do. You went for my livelihood. You tried to make my colleagues, my boss, think I was unstable. That isn't a cry for attention, Frankie. That's a declaration of war. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. The quiet, devastating truth of what he was saying was enough. I had crossed a line, not a line in our relationship, but a fundamental line of human decency. And I knew it. He just shook his head, a final, weary gesture of defeat. I can't fix this, he said, more to himself than to me. I can't even understand it. Then he turned and walked into our bedrooms. I stood frozen in the living room, listening to the sounds of drawers opening and closing, a closet door sliding, the soft thud of shoes being dropped into a bag. The sounds were so mundane, so domestic, yet they were the soundtrack to my world ending. I finally unfroze and ran to the bedroom doorway. He had his duffel bag open on the bed and was methodically placing folded shirts into it. He moved with a strange, detached calm. Declan, what are you doing? I pleaded, tears finally starting to stream down my face. Stop it. We can talk about this. I'm sorry. I was drunk and angry and stupid. I'm so sorry. He didn't look at me. He just zipped the bag shut. I know you're sorry now, he said, his voice flat. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry it blew up this badly. He finally lifted his head and his eyes were empty. But I can't trust you anymore. How could I? How can I ever sit in a meeting again and not wonder if you're at home, plotting some new way to ruin me because I loaded the dishwasher wrong? He walked past me, bag in hand. I grabbed his arm, my nails digging into his sleeve. Don't leave, I whispered, please. He gently but firmly removed my hand. I can't stay here tonight, he said. I can't even look at you. And then he was gone. The front door clicked shut and the deadbolt slid into place. The silence he left behind was absolute. It was heavier and more final than any shouting match could ever be. It was the sound of a future being erased. It's been 3 weeks. 3 weeks of sleeping diagonally in a bed that feels like an aircraft carrier. 3 weeks of silence. He never came back. Not for his other suit, not for his favorite coffee mug, not for the rest of his life that's still packed into drawers and closets around me. His communication has been sparse and brutally efficient, conducted entirely through emails sent from his work address. A deliberate little twist of the knife, I'm sure. They are polite, sterile, and utterly heartbreaking. Frankie, I will arrange for movers to collect my larger items on Saturday the 15th. Please let me know if that time is inconvenient. Or, Frankie, regarding the lease, I am happy to sign whatever paperwork is required to remove my name. There's no anger, no accusation, just logistics. The cold, hard paperwork of dismantling a life. In public, which for me means on the phone with Chloe, I'm a warrior. Good riddance, I declared just last night, swirling a glass of cheap wine. Honestly, I feel liberated. He was so obsessed with his career, there was no room for me anyway. If he can't handle one little joke, he's not the man I thought he was. I project an aura of defiant indifference, building a fortress of blame around my own actions. I tell her and myself that his reaction was disproportionate, that a truly loving partner would have understood the pain behind my actions. He was the one who was overly principled, too rigid to see it was just a desperate, clumsy cry for help. Chloe doesn't argue anymore. She just makes a quiet, sympathetic noise, the kind you make to a person who is clearly lying to themselves. Her silence is worse than any argument. It's a quiet, pitying mirror, and I hate her for it. But when the night comes and the apartment is dark and quiet, the fortress crumbles. The bravado evaporates, leaving only a raw, gaping wound. I don't sleep much. Instead, I perform a sick, nightly ritual. I open my laptop the same way I did that fateful night, and I log into his LinkedIn profile. I still have the password saved. It's a pathetic, compulsive act of self-harm. I scroll through his feed, a digital ghost haunting the edges of his life. I see he's still at the same company. His profile picture is the same professional, smiling shot. His colleagues are still liking his posts about industry trends. Amelia even endorsed him for strategic planning. It's all there. Normal, undisturbed, a world that has corrected itself and moved on, leaving me on the outside, peering through the glass. He survived my little detonation. He's fine. Tonight, I saw something new. A small update. He'd shared a post from his company's charity 5,000 run last weekend. There were pictures. In one of them, he's standing with a group of people, laughing. He looks tired, maybe a little thinner, but he's laughing. It's a real laugh, the kind that crinkles the corners of his eyes, the kind I haven't seen in months. I stared at that photo until the screen blurred through my tears. I closed the laptop and the screen went black, reflecting my own miserable, tear-streaked face. And in that moment, the lie I tell everyone, the lie I tell myself, fell away, and I was left with the one simple, crushing truth. He didn't just leave. He escaped.